I think is a really beautiful thing. Because you know that they love each other in Bridgerton. When you see them in Bridgerton, you know that the bond is very, very strong.
What would you rate your chemistry out of like 100? What would it be?
Like a -5, maybe, even lower, like really... He's off.
Bridgerton เป็นซีรีส์สุดฮิตจาก Netflix ที่เป็นที่พูดถึงเรื่องของความสวยงามชวนฝันและฉากรักที่ร้อนแรงและคราวนี้ Bridgerton ก็กลับมาอีกครั้งพร้อมกับซีรีส์ Prequel Queen Charlotte A Bridgerton Story หรือ Queen Charlotte เรื่องเล่าราชินี Bridgerton ที่จะเล่าเรื่องความรักอิงประวัติศาสตร์ของสมเด็จพระราชินีชาร์ลอตต์และพระเจ้าจอร์จที่ 3 เมื่อครั้งยังเยาว์ที่รับบทโดยอินเดีย อาร์มาเทฟิโอและคอรีมิลครีสและวันนี้ Today Play ได้มาพูดคุยกับนักแสดงทั้งสองรวมไปถึงโกด้า โรชเวลล์ผู้รับบทเป็นควีนชาร์ลอตต์เช่นกันถึงเรื่องราวเบื้องหลังเคมีอุบัติเหตุในกองและความรู้สึกของการรับบทเป็นบุคคลจริงในประวัติศาสตร์กันค่ะ
Hi, greetings from Thailand. This is I from Workpoint today. It's a pleasure to meet you both.
Oh,
Hey,
thank you.
lovely to meet you.
My first question is for India. When I watch the series, I love how I can see your unique young Queen Charlotte, and yet there's still that seamless connection to Golda's Charlotte. Can you tell us about the work you have put into shaping your version of the character?
Golda was very kind in allowing me to create my own Charlotte, and Tom Verica, our director, and Shonda Land, and Shonda from Shondaland, I don't know if you've heard of her, she and he both respectively said that they didn't want me to emulate any of Golda's performance. So I think a lot of my traits, the traits that I carry and I possess naturally maybe align with how Golda is. But also, you know, we had a lot of writing, we had a lot of great writing, so to say, or we had, the scripts were so kind of informative in creating character that, you know, it wasn't too difficult to, it's not too difficult to pin both the Charlottes together. And mine and Golda's understanding of Charlotte is, and where she stemmed from are very similar, so I think that's probably why we walk and maybe talk and look the same.
Okay, so next question is for both of you, India and Tori. Are there any challenges of portraying a historical figure who's not well known or represented in this way before? Or do you just take them as mostly fictional character as it is only based on historical like figure, but not a documentary?
No, great question. I mean, like, I think the main mission objective was don't make a documentary, don't make a historical documentary, and honor the script in which these are essentially fictional characters. There are elements of history and truth in that, and also like through research, you know, and I think the same goes for you, but like I really fell in love with George, and I just on a personal level I wanted to like, you know, do him solid and not let him down really, you know. And so there were parts that I was very precious about that I wanted to portray, but again, like the mission statement was these are fictional characters.
I couldn't say it better myself. Couldn't say it better myself.
Bingo.
Okay. So now to the more steamy part of portraying the character. What would you rate your chemistry out of like 100? What would it be?
Like a -5, maybe, even lower, like really... He's off. I think they have great chemistry, George and Charlotte. You know, there's something that...
Nice.
Thanks. I think there's something that draws... Was the question about George and Charlotte?
I don't know.
Yes, George and Charlotte.
Yeah. They have a natural, you know, there's something that instantly connects them, and I don't think it's lust really. I think it's actually a deep understanding and more on a love side from off the bat, which is beautiful. So I think they really, you know, through that they really understand one another, which means that they kind of, I don't know, they work in the same way. Which I think that is kind of the basis of chemistry, is how two people can interact together and do they you know, refract or do they gel, you know? And I think they match each other perfectly, and it feels like a real love match, kind of.
That one.
Are there any funny or memorable moments that you can recall from the set?
So many. You got any?
No, I always struggle with this. On set, I struggle.
Yeah, but I think we're quite focused. When we're on set, we're quite sensible and professional. Off set is a different story. But anything going wrong? I mean, it's not funny, but it made me laugh at first, and then I realised you were actually hurt. We were doing this scene where we're running down the corridor.
Oh my God, yeah.
And Corey's like, meters ahead of me, and he just stumbles a little bit, and you ended up breaking your toe.
Yeah, I broke my toe.
Because someone had left like something under a carpet.
Yeah.
And you just went full force, but he continued like an absolute pro. Yeah. And then we didn't realise until your foot basically went black.
Yeah. That
there was a problem. So not funny at the time, and then we stopped laughing as soon as we realised.
You know how things are painful and they're meant to be funny in retrospect.
Like, haha.
Yeah. So what India's saying is that it was funny at the time, but then not afterwards.
Yeah. Because then I was really worried.
Which is the opposite of what you want.
Exactly, but it's a story.
It's a story to tell.
People
it's a story to tell.
Will take what they want from it.
Yeah, just some really hardcore actors.
Yeah.
What do you hope the audience would take away from your portrayal of Queen Charlotte and King George?
Their love, I think. A lot of arranged marriages or marriages that happened in monarchies are for power and for wealth and for status, and which this initially was. Yeah, but it's actually beautiful to find out, and historically also in the show, that George and Charlotte had a real love story. They really had a beautiful life together, and I think it'll be really interesting, especially for Brits as well. We don't learn a lot about Georgian history in kind of our current curriculum, academic curriculum through our schools. So I think it will be, it's not a story. This is not a documentary, as Corey said, but it will be a little bit of a history lesson for people to learn about.
It'd be nice if people, go, oh, I'd like to find out about these guys.
Yes.
Yeah. And there is so much more information now since 2015 as well.
Yeah.
So go out there and check it out.
So the first question is, what's the first thought that came to mind when you heard that there's going to be a spin-off with Queen Charlotte as the title character?
The first thought in my mind was, gosh, really? And the second thought was, isn't it wonderful that the work that we do is going to be celebrated? You know what I mean? Because as actors, you advocate for the characters that you play for. And you put your work out into the world, and you hope people will like it. And for Shonda Rhimes and Netflix to say, we like your work, we'd like to deep dive into this character, we're going to do a spin-off. It's thrilling, very humbling experience.
This is the season with more interaction between Queen Charlotte and King George. What would be your favorite moment between the two characters of the series?
Gosh, I think for me, seeing them fall in love, I think is a really beautiful thing. Because you know that they love each other in Bridgerton. When you see them in Bridgerton, you know that the bond is very, very strong. Even though they're going through the difficulties of George being mad and dealing with that. But to see where it all started and how the journey for both of them develops, and how the strong bond is created. And the strong bond is created through love. And I think that for me is beautiful.
So what do you hope the audience take away from your portrayal of Queen Charlotte, particularly in terms of representation and recognition for Black individuals in historical contexts?
What will they take away? I think it's really wonderful that we talk about these complex questions, discussions about inclusion, representation through storytelling, right? And to be able to tell that through the genre of, historical genre, of period genre, I think it takes away the kind of, I think it makes it more accessible. Storytelling is a really good way to discuss these topics, I think. And if we can do them through characters like Queen Charlotte, like George, like Danbury, and we can represent the world that we live in, and we can say everybody is included, and moving forward, you know, everybody should be included. And if we can do that through the medium of a period drama, through storytelling, I think that's the way forward for me.
And since there are so many more details about Queen Charlotte's life in this season, and many are based on historical facts, are there any challenges or more pressure to portraying her character in this particular season?
I think the important word is based on historical fact. You know, we're not doing a documentary on Queen Charlotte. We're placing this, yes, historical figure in this beautiful fantasy world where we can make it accessible to everybody, to all humans. So, yeah, I think it's really wonderful that, you know, Shonda has really kind of taken a historical fact and really twisted and turned it and made it modern sometimes, you know, made it accessible, made you kind of question your own life, your own reality. Yeah, I think that's been really clever in the writing in that way.
Any final messages for the fans in Thailand? Let's see.
Thank you so much for watching the show. I can't wait for you to see it when it comes out on May 4th. We love you in Bridgerton.